Okay, today we're talking about the 15 steps, number 12, vibrato. And we're going to teach you a little system on how to develop a vibrato, okay? Now when we do this, first of all, we're just going to show you the concept of vibrato, and then we're going to teach you the method of how to go about developing a vibrato, okay? There's many different methods, and I use a particular one that we will show you. Now, one thing that's very important when you do vibrato is that we're going to start with the third finger on the second string, which is a D note. Alright, so when you do the vibrato, you want to roll your finger all the way to the top, so that the very top edge here of your finger is on pitch, right? Because if you're rolling your finger in vibrato and your pitch is somewhere in the flat of your finger, and then when you roll it, there's pitch, but it's on the lower side of my finger. Now when I roll it, it goes out of tune, right? It goes sharp. So you want the top of the pitch to be at the top of the vibrato. So you roll below pitch a little bit and then back to pitch to create vibrato. So that the top corner right there is on pitch. So there's pitch. We're rolled forward, then we're going to roll below, and each one of those is called, we call it a cycle. So this is one cycle. So it's 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's a cycle. Pitch to low is cycle. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that's how we roll our finger, and that's the way it works on each finger. Each one's designed a little bit different, but when we do this, we're going to use a metronome. So here's how you set up your vibrato practice using this method. Write down on a piece of paper in a row going down, or is that a column? Anyway, going down, we're going to write 1, 2, 3, 4, going down. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's each one for each finger. And then we're going to put an equal sign, and we're going to put a 60 right by each one. A 60, and then we're going to put a little sub note, sub 1 on each one. Okay? That gets us started. 60 means that we're setting the metronome at 60, and the sub 1 means that we're doing one cycle per second. 60 on the metronome is 1 second. Okay, so I'm going to set the metronome at 60. That's 60. It's clicking at 60, and we're doing one cycle. We're using just the third finger right now. We're going to do this. You'll need to do this with all 4 fingers, but we're going to do it just with the third finger right now. And that's a good place to start, because the third finger, or the second finger for some, is the easiest finger to do or start vibrato with, okay? So we're going to start with the third finger. The finger is all the way up at the top of the cycle. On the click, we're going to hit the note and then go below. So it's like 8 notes. It's like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So it sounds like this. Okay, so that creates the cycle, right? And then you do that with every finger, right? So then you would go to your second finger. Get the pitch right here, that's a C sharp. And then the B. First finger, same thing. Now we're going to do 4, the E, right? Cycle on the E. 4th finger, hardest one to vibrato with is 4th finger. Difficult to get a 4th finger vibrato. For me it is, and for some people maybe it's not. Okay, so that's where we start, right? We're going to use just the third finger from here on out just to show you how it goes from there. Now, what you do next is you take, and you do this with all the fingers, but we're just going to show you with the third finger right now. You're going to go to the next number on the metronome, which is 63. Now we have 63 going, right? So now we're going to try it there. And then you're going to move it to 66, right? And as long as you can keep up, you're going to keep going. Now once you get all the way to 120 on the metronome, keep it on going one cycle per click, right? Once you get to 120, you've doubled the cycles, right? So now you've got 120, which is equal to 2 cycles per second. So then what you do is you take the metronome all the way back to 60 again, and you play 2 cycles per second, because that's the same as 120, which we just did, right? So now we're at 120, we're going to do it with 2 cycles. Okay, and then keep that going, just keep moving it on around. When you get to 120 again, you've got all the way to you've doubled it again, right? You were doing 2, so double 2 is 4. So doing 2 at 120 sounds like this. That's 1. Doing 2 is da 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 da. Here we go. That's 4 cycles now. So you go back to 1, 260, where we started, and now you're doing 4 cycles. Right? 4 cycles is a slow beginning vibrato. It still sounds kind of like a broken record. It's a little too slow to really be a vibrato. So you start moving it around again. Okay, once you get to, it would be somewhere in the 76, 80 mark. You're going to be at, because we're in 4s now, so you're going to be at doing 4 cycles at that point. You're about at 5 cycles, right? And that's kind of where I play. I like a kind of a slow vibrato. Some people use will go up as much as 6 cycles to play the vibrato. I typically am somewhere around 5 cycles per second to create a nice vibrato that I am comfortable with. 6 cycles trying to do that, it makes me a little bit jumpy, a little nervous. It's a little too much for me to try to get a vibrato there. So a nice vibrato then on this is just a nice 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? And so that's how we create vibrato on the violin. It's a great exercise. If you do every finger every day for 30 seconds, you're going to be doing, what is that, times 4 would be 2 minutes a day of vibrato practice, which really isn't a lot of time, but when you do 30 seconds on one finger, and you can find your point of your skill level. You find that skill level, the level to where if you try to go any faster, you can't quite do it. That's where you want to work. So you find that spot. That's kind of a sweet spot for practice, right? So you practice it until, you keep moving it until you find the spot where if you go one more, you just can't quite keep up. So you just back it up and work that spot until you're comfortable, then try to squeeze it up there again. And that's the working at the top of your level of skill. If you just keep playing along at 61, it's never going to turn into a vibrato. So you need to push to that point. And the metronome is a good indicator of your skill level, and it gives you a challenge. It keeps you to know exactly where you are in relation to where you want to get to. So that's the way I teach and practice vibrato.